For all other inquiries, please press.
Hello. Thank you for calling the FBI. This is not a 911 service for taking emergency calls. For emergencies, please call 911.
Si usted desea escuchar este mensaje en español, por favor oprima el número 1.
In a few moments, you will be connected to an operator. This call will be recorded for quality assurance, investigative, or other purposes. If you do not wish to be recorded, please hang up and submit your tip online at tips.fbi.gov. During this call, you will be asked to provide identifying information about yourself and/or the persons about whom you are calling. We use this information to assist in investigating your tip. You do not have to provide your name or other personal information. However, the lack of information may delay or hurt our ability to investigate your tip. Any information you provide may be used for authorized purposes. To report a suspicious email, hacked email, internet scam, or ID theft, press 1. To report a tip about a threat to human life, serious bodily injury, please provide the zip code of the area you are calling from now. One moment while I transfer you to the next available representative. Your call will now be recorded.
That's right, I'm recording it too.
The FBI, can I have your first name, please?
My first name is Sean.
Can you spell that, please?
S-H-A-W-N.
And your last name?
Schwartz. S-C-H-W-A-R-T-Z.
A good telephone number for you?
October 18th, 1980.
How can I help you?
Well, I've got over 100 situations to report to you on. I don't even know where to start. That's how much there is. FBI agents have repeatedly refused to take a report from me. Law enforcement agencies have refused to take a report from me for over a year and a half and turned a blind eye to the things that people are doing to me, threatened me, assaulted me, illegally locked me up. I do have names and specifics of some of these people, and some of the names and specifics are buried in one of the 3 massive bags full of evidence that I've collected. The police have threatened, harassed, and intimidated a lot of people, and I have evidence of that too. I need an FBI field agent to come and meet me in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and take a look at this evidence.
Okay, well, how come nobody will take your reports?
Well, sir, law enforcement has a bad habit of refusing to take a report from a homeless person or someone who they believe to be homeless.
Okay.
I was made homeless by the death of a woman named Natalie Bollinger, who used to be a friend of mine.
Okay.
Her sister, Alicia, slandered my name in Virginia. They had invited me to Virginia. Natalie was suicidal, and she tried to kill herself because I wasn't there fast enough. I finally made it there. They invited me to a bunch of places. We had a blast. It was a lot of fun, but Natalie wanted to talk to me one-on-one. I wanted to talk to her one-on-one, and her sister was not having it. I found out on my birthday in 2016 that they were fighting over a boy, and that was why there was complications between me and Natalie being able to talk to each other. I got my vehicle stuck in the middle of the road. I have my hospital records from Chesapeake Medical Center right here with me. I was severely dehydrated and having a severe panic attack. It's on my paperwork here. Anyway, basically what happened is they lied outright. They wanted to hide their heroin habit and wanted to make their mother happy. And as a result, they lied outright. They said that I stalked them there. I left the state to get the fuck away from them, but I knew them from Boulder, Colorado, and Boulder, Colorado is where all of my friends and family are for the most part. So I went to Boulder, Colorado, and by the time I got there, Alicia had expanded her lying just a little bit, just a little white lie to protect her own wrongdoing. No harm in that, right? Well, that resulted in her sister getting shot in the head. There's also the possibility of 5 other...
What was her sister's name?
What was her? Natalie Bollinger and Alicia Michelle Bollinger, although Alicia's real name is Jody.
Okay.
So anyway, I got back to Boulder, and the rumors at first started... See, when I was on my way out of Virginia, I called up Maddie Boa, who was going to go with me to Virginia. She wasn't able to because she was on probation for meth use. Anyway, long story short, because it's a very long story. I've literally got probably 2 novels worth of it written already, and there's probably another 10 novels worth to write. Anyway, I called Maddie Boa to let her know what was going on and that I was on my way back to Boulder. She called me creepy, said that Alicia said that I had threatened her family, which was another outright lie. And over the course of the next couple of months, those rumors basically got worse and worse, and Maddie Boa, being a methamphetamine dealer in Boulder, Colorado, her meth customers were assaulting me and threatening my life. Anyway, going further on down the story, they still continued to pretend like I was trying to hurt them and so on and so forth. They had their friends stalking my Facebook, and I have proof of all of this. They had their friends come and threaten me and harass me, and I was letting them know that I was being treated like a child molester and a rapist, and they didn't fucking care. They didn't give 2 shits whatsoever. So I tried getting a hold of the police in Chapel, Nebraska. They didn't give a shit. They brushed me off. They told me they had real police work to do. And they brushed me off on 4 separate occasions. They told me they had real police work to do, and they told me I needed to just man up and things like that. Well, I also told officers in the state of Colorado. Now, I do know the names of these officers. Not all of them, but a few of them. One of the officers in Chapel, Nebraska, his name is Jordan Anderson. Anyway, long story short, I was treated like I had done something that I didn't for over a year. The police refused to do anything. The Bollingers refused to do anything. Maddie Boa refused to do anything. They were quite condescending and very much assholes. They kept on threatening to call the cops, which I was fine with. I'd been trying to get a hold of the cops, and the cops hadn't done a goddamn thing. So, in December of 2017, I threatened to expose Natalie's father with an email that she had sent me. In the email, it details only a small part of the things that he did to her. He molested her, he beat her, he tried to beat her mother or stepmother to death in front of her. Basically, they had been playing victim, and I was getting victimized for it. And it started in Virginia with the police breaking my car and then playing stupid when I tried to file a report against the police for breaking my car. Anyway, we'll fast forward to December of 2017. I'd had enough of it. I really didn't want to expose her dad or expose her ex-boyfriend, who is also a rapist. What I wanted to do was just get them to knock it off. Do what?
So how is he a rapist?
He's more than 7 years older than her, and he started fucking her when she was 14. Age of consent in Colorado is not 14. So he's just a statutory rapist, whereas Natalie's father, Ted Bollinger, is an actual rapist. He molested his own kid. Anyway, I had been trying to tell the police. I finally, on the 8th of December, I got a hold of her mother to let her mother know what was going on. Her mother completely ignored me. So I proceeded as planned, and I exposed those child molesters. Well, Natalie put up a post and lied outright on court documents. She was able to obtain a protection order by lying outright to the courts, and the judge in specific in that case did some things that are not supposed to happen on a protection order, including writing down an address. 2 weeks later, well, it ended up, it was just, it was her grandmother's address, although they tried playing it off like it was her address. But the fact is, it put people at risk. That protection order went to me, and had I been an actual predator, I could have gone there and killed everybody in her family. Lucky for them, I'm not that kind of a bastard. However, the protection order, I was served on the 15th. This is after she made a post on her Facebook slandering the fuck out of my name, lying outright repeatedly on there, and I wasn't allowed to defend myself. I'd been trying to get a day in court for well over a year by that point. I had several therapists that I was seeing over the abuse I had endured, and these therapists know that I was trying to get a lawyer. They're afraid to come forward because of everything that happened in Colorado and the sheer quantity of people who were affected by the Boulder Police Department. She was shot in Thornton, Colorado, at a place called McIntosh Dairy. She was shot by a man named Joseph Michael Lopez. However, the media... Do what?
When did that happen?
He shot her on December 28th of 2017, just 2 weeks after the protection order. I was at my friend Miss Peach's house. Her name is Kayla, and I was there to try to get a lawyer and try to start a GoFundMe because the people that I was living with had stolen all of my disability money and assaulted me for confronting them about it. So I went to Miss Peach's to try to get help with getting a lawyer and help getting started a GoFundMe page. At that point in time, several of my friends had their kids missing. One of them was Mandy Singer. Her son was missing. The other one, her name is Shauna Sinclair, and her daughter was missing. So I made a post about each of them missing, and just as me and Miss Peaches were going to sit down, we were going to sit down after dinner and try to hash all this out, try to get me a lawyer. And it turned out that the court date had already been over. I'd never had a protection order before. When people get like that, I get the fuck away from them. And in Natalie's case, it wasn't any different. When she started getting like that, I drove 1,700 miles to get away from her. Anyway, afterwards, these police that hadn't taken my report were pretty well entrenched in trying to hide the fact that they didn't do their fucking jobs. Alicia Bollinger, her slander, and Maddie Boa as well. Their slander resulted in at least 7 assaults against me in 2017. After she was killed, I was assaulted. Maddie Boa's methamphetamines customers, mostly.
Okay.
These are, I don't do meth. I don't really hang out with the meth crowd. So, like, as far as who these people are in specific, you'd have to ask Maddie Boa. But it was all over outright lies, things that never happened, and I was never allowed an honest day in court. The judge in that particular case, as well as several officers who were supposed to be investigating her murder, as well as quite a few uniformed officers. I've tried to get over at least 50 officers to take my report. Every single one of them is refused. Several of them have made fun of me. Several of them have assaulted me. I was assaulted in multiple jurisdictions across the state of Colorado and had my friends threatened, harassed, and intimidated by the police.
Why did the police assault you?
The police assaulted me because I've been speaking out about the Boulder Police and how they treat the homeless for over 10 years. The Boulder Police aren't real police officers, they're hobo hunters. These are the same assholes who jacked up the Jean Bonnet case.
Okay.
Anyway, so I've been a human rights activist in Boulder, Colorado for over a decade. A lot of that stems from the fact that I went into the system as a child in Boulder, Colorado, or in Boulder County, rather, and endured everything from physical abuse, over-drugging, and sexual abuse, to outright neglect and being force-fed stuff with bugs in it. I mean, it was a very fucked up place back then, and it hasn't changed much. Natalie Bollinger was in the system as well. We were both in there for the same reasons, pretty much. I went into the system when I was 4 because my mother was a cocaine addict, and the courts wouldn't let her have me, and my dad was in prison for selling cocaine in the state of Wyoming. So, Natalie, her dad is a drug dealer, and not a very good person. Anyway, her stepmothers got a hold of me just shortly after Natalie had died, and there was a few situations there where they had basically pretended like bad things were happening to them so that they could get an emotional response out of me. The emotional response that they got out of me was for me to try to find them a safe place to go. That judge who had things on that protection order that aren't supposed to be on a protection order, and it says right there on the protection order not to write that down if it's a protection order, and it's on there, and that magistrate, criminal negligence is the word for it, because he put these people at risk by putting that address on there, by not proofreading it. Now, I was trying to get him in court, as well as the officers who had refused to take a report. This includes an officer by the name of Burke, whose name I did not know until he assaulted me 8 months later in the Longmont Hospital while illegally serving me a protection order that I wasn't ever given. I don't have that protection order. I was never given a copy of that protection order, and they pretended to serve it to me.
Serving it illegally.
Well, sir, I was trying to make a police report, and they said that I could make a police report when I got to the hospital, which has happened before. At the Boulder Hospital in January of last year, right after Natalie died, the Boulder police had harassed me for 5 days straight, refused to take a report from me for 5 days straight, separated me from everybody who was trying to help me for 5 days straight. I got overwhelmed. They claimed that they were going to take me to the hospital. They said they were taking me to a safe place where I could make a report, and that's not what they were interested in at all. So when it happened in Longmont, I already knew what was up, but I was hoping they weren't full of shit. So when we got to the hospital, all of the officers left, and I asked the security guard where the officers were. He told me they all left. I told him they needed to come back because they needed to take my goddamn report. Well, those officers came back, except they didn't take my report like they were supposed to, like they said they were going to. Instead, they strapped me down to a bed, injected me with drugs, and then when I was too fucked up to read anything or comprehend what was going on, that's when they pretended to serve me with a protection order. I couldn't read the goddamn thing. Matter of fact, they took it away. I've never seen it.
Information to your other calls. Thank you for calling.
I'm going to make more calls. Good cops, right? Bullshit.